Hey everyone, welcome to Just in the Nick of Crime. We have some pretty big news to talk about. Tomorrow morning, after 35 years behind bars, the Menendez brothers will finally face the parole board. Erik goes first on Thursday, which again is tomorrow, and Lyle follows on Friday, and it starts about 8:30 a.m. Now, before we get into it, please help support my platforms wherever you're watching: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Please make sure to follow, subscribe, hit the like buttons. Whatever you can do is appreciated and a big help to get my platform out there. With that said, here's my question for you guys right out the gate. Do you think the Menendez brothers should be released? And if not, does it change your mind at all that every single living family member, including Kitty's own sister, is supporting them and fighting for their freedom? All right. Answer that. Drop it in the comments, whatever you guys think. Now, real quick, I will ask, no matter where you're watching outside of YouTube, I am on a journey to 50,000 YouTube subscribers, and I'm at 47,000, like almost 47,400. So if you can find it in your heart to jump over to YouTube, even for a second, to just follow, help me get to that 50,000, it would be greatly appreciated. It is the same name on here. Now, I will shut up about that. And let's get into these hearings because they are monumental. A decision could actually come as soon as tomorrow that determines whether the Menendez brothers walk free for the first time since 1989 or whether they're going to stay behind bars for years to come. So let's just get into everything that you need to know: how parole hearings actually work, who's supporting and opposing their release, the influence of social media and Netflix, the rehabilitation work that the brothers have done inside prison when they thought they'd never get out, and the powerful news statement their family just released this morning ahead of the hearings. Now, for those of y'all who are too young to remember or don't know that much about it, let me give you just a very brief 60-second overview, okay? In August of 1989, 21-year-old Lyle and 18-year-old Erik Menendez shot and killed their parents, Jose and Kitty Menendez, inside the family's Beverly Hills home. Now, this was a gruesome murder, all right? It was gruesome. And their trial became one of the first true crime spectacles of the 1990s. It was broadcast on court TV with America split on whether they were cold-blooded killers or abused children acting out of desperation. Ultimately, both brothers were convicted of first-degree murder in 1996 and sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. For decades, that meant there was no path to freedom. But in May of this year, everything changed. A Los Angeles judge resentenced them to 50 years to life, immediately making them eligible for parole under California's youthful offender law, because both were under 26 when the crimes happened. That resentencing cracked open the door that had been locked shut for nearly 4 decades. So, what exactly happens at parole hearings in California? Well, the hearings are done over video conference. Erik and Lyle will appear separately from the Richard J. Donovan Correctional Facility in San Diego. Their parole attorney, whose name is Heidi Rummel, will be there. Prosecutors from LA County, led by District Attorney Nathan Hochman, will argue against the brothers' release. Each hearing usually lasts 2 to 3 hours. The commissioners spend most of that time grilling the inmate about their crime, their behavior since, their remorse, and their plans if released. Then other voices weigh in. Prosecutors highlight past lies and inconsistencies, arguing that the brothers killed for greed, not survival. Normally, this is also where victims' families speak against release. But here, the Menendez family, including Kitty's own sister, is doing the opposite. They are supporting the release, not speaking out against it. And at the end, the board usually makes a decision right then and there. If the parole is denied, the brothers have to wait another 3 to 15 years for another shot. If it's granted, the decision goes through 120 days of review, then lands on Governor Gavin Newsom's desk. He can approve it, deny it, or change it. His track record on high-profile parole cases is not promising, though. Remember, guys, he blocked Sirhan's release, and then he fought against Manson follower Leslie Van Houten being freed. But the courts eventually overruled him on Van Houten, which shows how complex this process can be. So now, let's talk about the sides here. Okay, on the opposition, you have Nathan Hochman and Nathan Hochman's prosecutors. They've already filed a 75-page statement arguing that the brothers' stories about abuse have shifted over the years, that they tried to arrange alibis and lied to relatives about a supposed mafia hit. Prosecutors insist that this was not about survival, it was about money. But on the support side, this case is almost unprecedented because every single living family, there's over 20 of them, there's almost 24, every single living family member supports their release. Kitty's sister, Joan Anderson Vandermolen, has been outspoken, saying the brothers were failed by the very people who should have protected them, saying that her own sister failed her kids. Then there are the prison guards, and this I found very interesting. We're talking about correctional officers with decades on the job, officers who have never once recommended parole for an inmate before, not once in decades-long careers. And they are going on record saying that these two deserve a second chance. That kind of support is absolutely extraordinary, and parole boards don't ignore it. Even a retired judge who once had a reputation for being tough on crime has spoken up, saying the work that Lyle and Erik have done inside prison, from counseling program to murals honoring veterans, shows rehabilitation. And here's where things get really interesting, okay? Because what you have to remember, until this past May, for decades, since 1989, well, since 1960 in their conviction, these brothers had no reason to believe they would ever get out. Their sentences were life without parole. Yet even under that assumption, they committed themselves to programs in education. Lyle Menendez earned a sociology degree, helped start the Green Space Project to improve prison life, and mentored other inmates. Erik graduated from UC Irvine with a bachelor's degree in sociology and did so well that he actually earned the distinction of summa cum laude. Erik also developed programs for elderly and disabled prisoners, worked in conflict resolution, and created educational materials for other inmates. He actually even created a hospice program for the prisons that now the entire state of California has ultimately adopted. Both have taken on leadership roles in self-help groups, guiding hundreds of prisoners over the years. So they didn't just sit back and serve time. They built a purpose-driven life behind bars. And that's part of why correctional staff who see them day in and day out have written such strong letters of support. For some guards, it's literally the first time they have ever supported parole for anyone. And that kind of record, especially in a system where rehabilitation is often more myth than reality, it carries a lot of weight. Now, for a lot of you guys, if you're wondering why the Menendez case suddenly feels like it's everywhere again and people keep talking about it, you can thank social media and Netflix for that. Last year, Netflix released Monsters, the Lyle and Erik Menendez story, which racked up tens of millions of viewers in the first days. It reignited a debate for the whole new generation around the same time. And around the same time, Netflix also put out a documentary featuring interviews with the brothers themselves. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. I've watched both. And what I want to tell you about Monsters, it is basically fiction based around fact. It's a dramatization. A lot of the stuff is not true. And we've talked about that on the podcast. We're trying to I'm not going to get into the reasons behind real victims not being completely out there yet. We're working on that behind the scenes. But nevertheless, we're trying to expose that Hollywood does that. However, the documentary is very accurate and very good. That being said, I'm not discouraging you guys from watching Monsters. I thought it was very good. Very well done. I think it's up for Emmys as well. But watch both is what I would say if you're interested in learning like all the ins and outs. Then on TikTok and Instagram, my TikTok and Instagram included, their case went viral all over again with younger audience discovering the story for the first time. Hashtags like #Free the Menendez brothers started trending. And that kind of cultural momentum doesn't win parole cases, but it does shape public perception, and public perception can influence how these hearings are viewed. And just ahead of these hearings, the family released a powerful statement through the Justice for Erik and Lyle Coalition. Here's part of what they said, quote, "As always, our family remains cautiously optimistic, grounding ourselves in the reality that California's parole process is incredibly rigorous with low grant rates. We respect that and know that Erik and Lyle are prepared for that level of scrutiny. For more than 35 years, they have shown sustained growth. They've taken full accountability. They express sincere remorse to our family to this day and have built a meaningful life defined by purpose and service. Something that has really stayed with us, especially as we near the parole hearings, is what Judge Jessic said during resentencing, that while Erik and Lyle have a stellar record, it was the letters of support from individuals who had never spoken up for an incarcerated person before this hearing that impacted him the most. It's a reminder that no paper file can fully capture a person's character, but we see it. Correctional staff see it, and now we hope the parole commissioners will see the same. When we know that Erik and Lyle will come home, that is no longer a doubt. We just hope that they are granted the second chance in time to hug their Aunt Joan and Aunt Terry before they pass away. One of them, I believe Terry, is sick with terminal cancer, just so you guys know. Now, this is the statement that they put out this morning, and you can read the whole thing. I posted on my Instagram and Facebook, and I think on Substack as well. But this statement underscores just how unified this family is today. And again, in most murder cases, the family is begging the parole board to deny them release. And here they're begging for the parole board to grant release. It is a very, very unusual case. All right. So what can we expect next? Well, tomorrow morning, Eric's hearing is going to kick off at 8:30 a.m. And like I said earlier, Lyle's follows the next day on Friday. Each one should last 2 to 3 hours. The board usually makes a decision immediately after the hearing, which means we will know the results. If they make the hearing tomorrow, which they very likely will, those results will be reported the same day. We will know the answer. What happened with Erik? If parole is denied, the brothers will wait years before another chance. If parole is granted, the decision enters a 120-day review period before heading to Governor Newsom, who can approve it, deny it, or modify it. Now, bear in mind that this is one of the most infamous cases in true crime history. And for the first time in nearly 4 decades, the Menendez brothers have a real shot at freedom. So I want to ask you guys again, do you support their release? And if not, does knowing that every single living family member supports it change your mind? Make sure that you're subscribed here because I'll be breaking down the results the moment they come in. And just a real quick thing, I actually have, how do I put this? The way I can put this. I have a source for this, so I will know probably before the mainstream media knows. I'm not allowed to put it out until we get that go ahead, but I will be getting that information as it comes in, hopefully, through my source. And I should be able to have it out very, very quickly. And we will do another pretty long thing to talk about it. So just so y'all know, you might want to hit the follow button if this is something that's important to you guys. But for a full guide to the parole process, timeline, everything happening in these hearings, you can also check out my Substack, which is linked in the YouTube description below, or by going to justinthe.nickofcrime.substack.com. Now, that said, drop questions in the comments, and I'll try to make sure to see if I can answer them, especially if you're watching this, on the replay on YouTube. And I will see you guys tomorrow with some of these updates, but I can't wait to hear what you guys think. I'll see you guys tomorrow.